Okay, we are officially recording and live. Yay. Hi, everybody. Nobody's tuned in right now, but I will be posting this on my blog page. And Stephanie, feel free to share this wherever as well. I'll send you the link. But for those of you who don't know, I'm Allie Sugarman. My business is Sweet Embrace. I'm a holistic doula, birth and postpartum, and Reiki practitioner and reflexologist. And I'm here talking with Stephanie today of Rocky Mountain Mother. And Stephanie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I am a mama to two sweet girls. A third one is on the way. So we have like our own little wild woman circle going on here. But I live in Boulder County. Right now I'm in Longmont. And I also love all things holistic. I fell into the holistic practices when it was after I graduated from CSU. And fell into a yoga practice and then did a deep yoga training. And basically one step after another, I found myself here after the birth of my own babies. And it's been a really beautiful sort of process figuring out, oh, this is what everything has been building up to. And it feels really good to be here, and especially to connect with other birth workers and people in the community, because it takes a village. It really does, to care for these birthing people and these mamas. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Congrats. Oh my God.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm due in like early August. So yeah, it was a little bit of a shock, but we're doing the dang thing. So
yeah, there you go. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your services, what you provide.
Yeah. It's such a wide thing, kind of like you offer so many beautiful things that are also client based on their specific needs.
Mm-hmm.
But my main title, and something that I like to call myself, is a mother roaster. And so I offer mostly mother roasting services, but that is full spectrum. So I can be roasting a mama with a new baby in a postpartum period, but I can also be roasting mamas whose babies are 40 or much older. And so once a mom, always a mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like to really provide care in this space and hold space for these mamas, even if they've, for example, like lost a sister or their own mother, helping them guide and navigate this transition. But all of that has sort of led me into continuing education, and I can't buy enough books and take enough trainings, because this is all so interconnected into the divine feminine and supporting all women, and all birth people who give birth, not just women are giving birth. And so helping support them through this massive transition. So basically, when it comes down to my mother roasting services that I offer, it's a lot of holding space, warm meals, tinctures, teas, baths, yoni steams. Really, it's really all encompassing. There's a lot of things, but it's all very specific as to each person and their specific needs.
Yeah. That sounds so yummy and like amazing.
Look, I because I was so silly, I set up like little visual aids, like little like tinctures that I make, and then like little teas and stuff. But and that's something I really love too, is taking time to custom blend these things, because one size doesn't fit all for people and what they're experiencing in their postpartum or whatever experience that they're going through.
And I so appreciate that, because as holistic humans and what we're providing for people, it's really important to, meet people where they're at and kind of tend to what their needs are. And not one human is the same in what they need. So that's amazing. So tell us a little bit more about what mother roasting is. Like, it sounds like it's just nurturing them.
Basically, yeah, it's based on this ancient practice of keeping the birthing person warm after birth. So when you're pregnant, you have this being, let alone fluid, and this extra organ that you've grown, and all of this extra thing that's bringing heat to your body. And once you give birth, you not only no longer have this, 7-ish pound human inside of you, but all the stuff that goes with it, the fluid, your placenta. And so you're really left with this deficit of heat in your body that you've acclimated to for your 9-10 months of pregnancy. And so what mother roasting does is we come in and very seriously try to keep the mother warm to avoid that cold or that stagnant energy kind of settling into that space. Because when that happens, if you feel that cold, that chill come over you, you're more likely to experience this deep, profound feeling of sadness. There's this story that on the third day after babe is born, so babe is born and mom and babe share a soul, but on the third day, the separations of the souls begin. And that's when the baby blues start to come in, and that crying facilitates the prolactin and the milk coming in. And so it's a really beautiful, like, oh, this baby is no longer part of my soul. My body will continue to nurture it this way. And so that's like a big, really beautiful story of talking about this separation of like, okay, that heat that our body was holding to is now gone. Let's fill it in with warmth and keep this mama cocooned. So basically mother roasters mother the mother, which is like so important, especially now, because there's just such a pressure to bounce back. Like everyone celebrates this beautiful pregnant body. And then 2 days later, after you have your baby, they're like, you got to punch, like you got to get back to that pre-baby body. And it's everywhere. People are talking about it. It's woven into the fabric of our current society. And so by giving mamas space to practice lying in, to embrace the softness of their body and to really heal themselves, not only physically, but energetically as well, is so important.
Absolutely. I'm like getting chills. I feel like we work in a very similar way, because in my practice as a postpartum doula, first of all, I love to cook like warming, like nutritious, foods, just to keep the inside of the body warm, right?
Right. And there's only so much lasagna that people can do, like that is so important because, filling yourself full of cheese is maybe not the best thing. So I think that is so important. And I love that. And I've seen some of the recipes you've been posting on your blog, and I'm like, can you just cook for me? Like, I would love to eat that.
Girl, I would love to cook for you.
It'd be amazing. Please feed me.
So going into that, like, what's the difference between a mother roaster and a postpartum doula?
Yes. So this is a tricky question because it's like saying birth keeper and doula, mother roaster, postpartum doula. It's really hard because I don't want to make any blanket statements, because I know so many beautiful different birth keepers and doulas and all of these people who all do the same thing, but they all have their own way of doing it. And so when you break it down to just like the basic definitions, mother roasting basically focuses just on the mama. I mean, obviously we're not ignoring the baby and the other family members, but really our number one goal is to take care of mom, make sure she's warm, fed with easy digestible foods. If she's having any hormonal imbalances, how can we work on balancing that out with nutrition, herbal supplements, and just general care, like really mothering the mama, especially with also helping create boundaries for postpartum abundance. Because once you have this little baby, everyone wants to come over and hold your baby, but no one is really holding the mama. And everyone has their own stories and their own, I like to call it ass advice, because it's like the advice, but it's their like, I just call it ass advice because they really are well-meaning, but that I've just been told, even in my own experience, so many things that I'm like, that is not what I needed to hear right now. And so by just really protecting the mother, while postpartum doulas traditionally are like an overarching, how can I help the family unit? So we're talking maybe sibling care, maybe like cleaning, cooking, maybe they also share resources for, lactation consultants or baby wearing. So that's just sort of like the basic like breakdown, but I know so many beautiful postpartum doulas who offer so many mother roasting services. They just don't know it, or they don't call it that. And I know so many mother roasters who, will sit on the floor and play with someone's 2-year-old while mama is taking a nap and holding a baby. And so like, they definitely are interwoven and in the same. And I wouldn't say that all mother roasters are postpartum doulas, and I wouldn't say that all postpartum doulas are mother roasters, but it's a very beautiful, like they can be symbiotic in what they offer and share. But it's really just specific to the person and the services that they're offering.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for clarifying that, because for me personally, like I've been wondering what a mother roaster is.
You're
and
a mother roaster, Allie. 100%. You roast mamas. I see what you do. Absolutely. And the only reason I ever came up with the term mother roasting is because of I've been taking a lot of classes with the Sacred Living movement and the Sacred Living University. And so I am like knee deep in Annie Dalter's teachings. And I spend a lot of time communicating with a Valerie who incepted the mother roasting training. And so that's like where I came up with the term mother roasting, is because I was taught that myself. Gotcha. But ultimately, I also have a thing with certifications and trainings. I love to take them. I love information, but I think also you don't need to be taking a training to call yourself a mother roaster. You have the drive and the information to know and learn. And I think that a lot of times these trainings can cost a lot of money and can really inhibit people from who really want to be offering and caring these, sharing these services, from doing that because they don't have like the $600 or whatever. And so I think if you have the heart and the hunger to really care for people, and you have mentors who are willing to talk to you and walk you through it, then, you know, like one of my best friends could be considered a mother roaster, because she literally would make me get in the shower and do these things for me that I didn't, you know, I was like, I'm fine. And ultimately that is exactly what I needed at that point in time. So that is, you know, I might get some flack for saying that, but really ultimately it's where your heart lies, and the services that you're offering, but also being mindful that we're not appropriating from other cultures and giving credit where credit is due. And so there's a lot of layers, especially as you know, working in holistic fields, we are faced with these hard ethical questions. And so by
especially
being mindful
in Colorado.
about that, yes, yes, exactly. And so I think it's also beautiful that, you know, we're able to hold each other accountable as well.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And kind of like digging into what you just said about like somebody telling you that you need it, like go take a shower, like go spend some time with yourself, for yourself. And you're like, oh, I don't need it. How many times do you think that happens? It's like, oh, I'm fine. Like, I don't need this much support. And then they actually take the time, and like there's this huge breakthrough, like, oh my gosh, I actually do need time to myself and time to unwind and process. And I think it's
huge.
So important.
Yeah. And I see that also often with mamas who have other children as well. So in subsequent pregnancies and subsequent postpartum experiences, that often happens. And just speaking from my own experience, I had a really hard postpartum with my second baby. I thought, okay, I have this 18-month-old I have to take care of, and this newborn, and this house. I have a husband and a house and people to feed, and people are coming from out of state to visit my baby. So I have to be caring for them. And I fell into this huge deficit. I wasn't nourishing myself. Postpartum mood disorders came swinging in like from right and left. And people were like, you need to take care of yourself. And I'm like, I'm fine. I've got this, until I was really not fine. And so by having someone, it's almost helpful having a third party step in and be like, hey, this is gonna really help you. Let's talk about a way that we can set up postpartum abundance. And it is sort of weird, like, you know, inviting a total stranger into your house when you're in this really raw and vulnerable space. But that's what makes it so beautiful, is taking the time to sit and be like, this is my heart and I'm here to support you, and you can do this for yourself. So it's really giving a mama permission.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know you work a lot with ceremony as well. So can you speak a little bit about that? Why it's
Absolutely.
important to you?
Ceremony is so important. I mean, pretty much every big moment of our life is tied into ceremony. We even have graduation ceremonies for our dogs from like obedience school. And so it's fun to mark a big moment with a celebration or even a ceremony. I've been discovered. So, you know, we do school graduations, preschool graduations, we have baptism, people celebrate the liturgy, weddings, even funerals. So celebration of life, even though there's been something heavy or a grief-filled experience, this ceremony that surrounds all of life's big moments are an intention. They have an intentional ritual. You want to say hi to Allie?
Hi.
And so I think it's beautiful to live life and weave ceremony through all important times of transition. And so, I mean, stepping through this maiden and into mother, this maiden and mother, you what? Oh, your Band-Aid? Stepping through this maiden to mother like through the gate from maiden to mother is a huge transition. And we spend, so much time planning our wedding, and then we plan our birth, but then babe is here and you're like, the training wheels have been taken off. And
what do I
there's no
do?
ceremony. Yeah. And there's like baby showers and stuff, but there's no real ceremony to acknowledge the beautiful transition that this birthing person has gone through. And so I just think there's some real power in, celebrating this crossing of gates. And I'm sorry.
It's okay. I love it.
But I think acknowledging any sort of passage is beautiful. And I also love to do ceremony around, women stepping through their silver gates. So stepping, away from this mother role and into their silver crone role, which is so beautiful and also really emotional because they've been a mother for so long that finding that new identity can be intense.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think it's so beautiful.
Definitely. Yeah, I've been thinking about croning ceremonies. One of my colleagues is interested in having one for her, but also like where our group is kind of thinking about offering that to other people throughout the community. And I'm thinking about my mom too, because she is now raising her 4th kid and she has grandkids, and she's always been in this mother role. And I think she's a little, from my perspective, it seems like she's a little like hesitant and worried and not really knowing what to do with herself after,
Yeah.
And it's just a whole other section of your life that doesn't get honored enough.
Oh, and I think that's so beautiful too. And I really think like in a croning ceremony, it is the full integration of the maiden and the mother identity together. And it is so beautiful. That's probably one of my most favorite things to do, honestly, is to just really support women as they go through that. Because that divine feminine is so powerful. And I just think it's a beautiful thing to share. Are you?
So pretty.
My hair.
There goes that brushed hair.
Yeah. Pseudo brush. Okay.
So I noticed on your website, you also work with people who have experienced loss. What kind of got you into that, and why do you think it's important?
Yeah. Loss is never easy. And my very first pregnancy, actually, I experienced a loss, and it was kind of a mess. I think I was maybe 25, and I first of all had no idea about anything. All right, I was just like this newly pregnant girl, and I was, basically I wasn't even really in the holistic field yet, and so I didn't know anything about my womb power or anything. And so this miscarriage that I experienced, one, everyone was so excited, right? So I told everyone, and then I felt like I was taking this thing away from them, and I felt paralyzed between this maiden and mother identity, like I was stuck in both and I didn't fit in. And this was also horrible. The doctor that I was seeing wasn't an OB, wasn't a midwife, wasn't anyone, and basically didn't help me manage this miscarriage. And so it went on for way too long, and I had no idea. And so I experienced a lot of trauma surrounding that. And my loss experience, everyone experiences loss at some point in their life. And so how can we come together and acknowledge that, everything does live and everything does die, but grief is ultimately this expression of love. And that grief isn't linear, healing isn't linear. Sometimes we're okay, and sometimes it can really knock you, on your butt. And so just having that really humbling experience of loss for my first pregnancy that I had experienced was something that really led me into feeling like no one should have to experience this alone, which ultimately I did. And that was just awful. And I feel such a heart pull to support mamas who have experienced a miscarriage or a baby who was born sleeping, or even mothers who've lost older children. I think that all of this can be really healing and supporting. And I offer a significantly discounted, if not free, ceremony to these women because their story needs to be heard. And once again, right, people come in with their ass vice and they say things trying to make you feel better, but it's making them feel better. And so by coming in completely neutral with this open heart and allowing for them to speak their truth is what is ultimately so important and healing. And I think had I had that with my first loss experience, it would have been a totally different thing versus a deep wound for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for providing for other people who have experienced loss. It's huge. And part of my story, I experienced the loss of my father at a very young age. I mean, I was 20, so not like a kid or anything, but I mean, still kind of a kid.
Yeah.
And that grief kind of opened my heart and opened the door for my path as a holistic practitioner and as a doula as well. So like having that experience, I understand how it can definitely like lead you to that path to help other people.
It's life-changing, really.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry to hear about that loss. That's
okay.
a devastating blow. Loss is never easy, and I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, it is, you know, I've done the work, and like you said, grief and healing is non-linear. So I still, you know, deal with it at some points, but just having the support and the love, like you said, is just so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Here you go.
So I only have a little bit of time left. I could talk to you for hours, seriously. But I wanted to talk about just a few more things. I see the red drums behind you.
Yeah, these are my babies.
Yeah, explain them, show them.
Yeah, so this is a 13-inch red drum. You'll see all of these ribbons. After every ceremony I will tie a ribbon on to honor the woman or whoever I'm doing ceremony for. So they're all different, and I pick them depending on, you know, what we worked on and who this person is.
That's beautiful.
But these are something that I have been feeling a call to be making for a long time. I came across the red drums when I was taking a class with Nikaya Seeds from the Red Moon Mystery School. And I can link all of those. I can send them to you just so you have them if you want to explore.
Please do.
But it's so beautiful, really just like reclaiming the birthright of women as drum carriers. And even when you look back in old historical texts, women were the drummers. We were the ceremonial bringers. And so by making these, especially in the color red, the divine feminine, you're really able to like bring your femininity into your ceremony. So I use them a lot for my personal practice. I love to bring them to ceremony when I'm working with women, if they're comfortable with drumming. The usual ones that I make are 13 inches because the number 13, I could dive into that for like 2 hours as well, is a goddess number and is so beautiful. So this is a 13-inch elk hide, completely dyed with natural plant fibers and pigments. And I like drew the moon cycle on the inside.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know if you can see it, but we are doing, for those of you who are local to Northern Colorado, we are doing another red drum workshop in June at Sundara Yoga and Spiritual Center, which is in Berthoud. So I can send you that information if you want. We're limiting it to 6 ladies this time. And then this is my 20-incher who's like so big and shiny. But yes, I love these, and they're so powerful, and they have such personalities, and all of the ingredients or supplies that we use to make these are sustainably sourced from Indigenous families up in Vancouver. So everything from the cedar hoops that are pressed to the elk, everything comes and supports these Indigenous families up there. And so it feels really good to also be, one, buying these supplies from people who have been doing this for a really long time, and 2, staying in our lane of like the divine feminine, and that women have always been drummers. So I just love them. They're so pretty. I'd play them for you, but over Zoom, they just sound like,
yeah, for sure. Well, that's incredible. And they're beautiful. Definitely send me the information for that work.
I absolutely
Very
will. And
interesting.
it's just so beautiful to make them in ceremony. And we
Mhm.
really just dive into, once again, the divine feminine and supporting each other and holding each other accountable and
Yeah.
the just sacredness of all of this. So
Mhm.
are you putting tinctures in my hair? Thank you. My
Oh my
goodness.
gosh. So is there anything else that you want to add? Anything else you want to tell people about yourself, your practice?
Gosh. I just think that it is so important to take time and plan for your postpartum period. And whether that is with support or not, even if you sit down and just take a few minutes, every day, just being like, okay, this is what I'm expecting. And what happens if, I don't get enough sleep, or who can bring me nourishing meals, or just these sort of things, to really take the pressure off yourself, to bounce back, to allow yourself to heal, like I've said, physically and energetically, because you're settling into this new role in this season of motherhood. And so planning for postpartum abundance is so key. And there's so many people out there who can help you and support you. And I would encourage people, like, even if they're not sure about mother roasting, to still reach out to me. I love to share resources. I love to share the beautiful healers and energy workers, and even just support people in the community. And so I do not want any mama to feel alone or like they don't have support. And even if you had your baby like a year ago and you're struggling, please reach out. I love to do ceremonies with mamas for toddlers, and I love to draw baths, and I love to witness birth stories. So supporting the vulnerable time in postpartum is so important. And you're never too old. I don't care if you had a baby 4 years ago and you're like, oh, that sounds great, but it was too late for me. It's not, I promise.
That's amazing. Thank you for saying that. And I also think it's important, like, now, this is such a vulnerable time for all of us, with the pandemic and everything, and people are feeling more alone than ever. So just knowing that there's people like you available to support and hold space for them is so important and needed.
It really is. I mean, I wish I had it. So I hear it. I really do.
You should find it for this birth and postpartum period.
Oh, for sure I'm going to. I'm like, I need the full bells and whistles package. Like, pamper me.
Yeah, you deserve it, lady. So how can people get a hold of you? Where can they find you?
You can message me on Instagram. You can reach out to me on my website. You can send me an email. You can call me. I really want to be like accessible. My life is mostly dominated by my little toddlers right now. So if you call me during the day, you might get this. But I want to be able to support and ultimately just share what I can with mamas, because like I've said, it takes a village, and I want to also support you and other people. Just, I want to plug mamas into the right people and get them the help that they need. So
absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I love talking with you. Like I said, I feel like I could talk to you for hours about this.
Brushing the hair now.
Very nice. But yeah, I will send you this video. Feel free to post it. I look forward to talking to you in the future. And thanks for joining me today.
Yeah. And I'll send you those links so you can just post them below if anyone has any, curiosities.
Yeah,
So
sounds good.
well, thank you so much, Allie.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Oh, it's so good. Oh my gosh, yes.
Beautiful.
Oh, this is like one of those wet brushes too that's supposed to like not hurt, but it still doesn't feel very good. Okay, I'll find these links and I can just, do you want me to drop them in the Zoom thing, or do you want me
to? If you just want to email them,
sure.
I can pop them under in my blog.
I gotcha. Okay. I gotcha. Well, you have a beautiful day. Oh, I like want to hug you.
I know, same.
You're a beauty.
All right. I will talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.